Well, I was deciding whether or not to put a layer of cloth on the outside of the nose panel, and so I decided I will. There was enough damage in here by putting the cloth over the top of it, I would be able to get a consistent finish on that. You know, it'll be depending on how much I wet it out. I'm sanding, and you know, when you're sanding any fiberglass or epoxy or whatever, always put your mask on. You don't want to do it without it. So I've got a piece of cloth cut out. Let me reset up on that, and we'll show you what I've done. I put some blue tape in here because it's more impermeable to the epoxy bleeding through it and trying to stick the tape to the glass. The masking tape I have, just a regular old tan masking tape, is too porous. So I measured off some lines, for edges, top, and then put in this blue tape that goes over the top of both of them, and I wiped it down. And I guess I can always wipe it down again. And I got some clamps on either side here. I guess you can see one right down here, and a weight to hold it in place to keep it from sliding around on me. Let me get in your way here and get out. Luckily, I had some 4-ounce cloth scrap left over from one of my boats. I had some 6, but that's the 6-ounce cloth is a little too grainy, and I wanted a little smoother finish. So I'll go ahead and put a clamp down here. Get out of your way. And one on the other side. Okay. Now I'll smooth this out. You want to hand smooth it. Clean hands. Clean hands. And the tape is right in here. I could probably have pulled it down a little bit more. I'll have some excess here to trim off, but I can always reuse it for something else. I have several videos where I'm smoothing cloth on a boat to get it to lay in. I might let it set here overnight, but I don't think I need to because the area is so small. If it was a bigger area or the glass had more wrinkles in it, I would let it set stretched out, maybe put some weights along the edges to put some tension on it. But I think I'm ready to go, so let me mix up some epoxy and start wetting this out. Well, let's get this show on the road. Hopefully I'll be out of the way. We'll start up here along the blue tape line, and I will go all the way, get off there, along the edge to highlight it first. And I was thinking too, when I come to the weave fill, because this will leave a little bit of telltale texture behind, that I may use some let me get this side so you can see what I'm doing. Some pigment paste. I knew I'd eventually think about it. It's basically epoxy with color in it, and I use that on my boats when I'm fairing in, and I'll add color to the fairing compound. Okay, get this other side. And then when I come to the next layer, I will use another color. And then I know where I've been. ahead and pin some spots down here to keep it from moving around on me too much. Normally I use a putty knife on a boat, and I may bring it out once it sets up a little bit to smooth out the finish and even it out. I may also break out a small roller, 3-inch roller, and roll the wet areas to the dry areas. Normally on a boat I would start in the middle and work out to the edges, but this seems to be working well. Just do a little spot here and there. And look for light areas where the glass is trying to lift. I'll come back when I get more of it done. I mean, it's pretty much a continuation of that, especially if I bring out the putty knife. Well, I have plenty of epoxy on there, so I'll just scrape some of the excess off, take it down to the dry areas. You see how they're wet out. Let me just set aside and we'll come back when I do the roller. Okay, now that I've got it all wet out, on my boats I take just a cheap 90 cents or $1 roller, and I cut it into 3 sections. And you take it and just roll it everywhere. Even out the coat. I even sliced it right here just to relieve some of the tension so it'll roll a little bit. There's that wooden piece in there. I may mix up some more just to stick it down to that. Let me go ahead and do that. Let me mix up just a little bit more and coat that part down under on the plywood, and that'll give us another layer of glass to give that some more strength. Now I lifted it up and put some, get down there, epoxy underneath. We got that edge along here. There'll be a little bit that won't be attached, but it'll be filled with epoxy, so I probably should have up in here, since this will now be on the outside. I didn't really need this. I could have faired this in to make it a little smoother transition, but I still have the rubber baby buggy bumper to go over the front of it, so hopefully that'll hide it. Well, it's the next day and the epoxy is cured, so I can go ahead and I'll just do a little bit of this on camera. Everything else I'll do off camera. Bigger pieces I'll save. So you can see what I'm doing here, and there's a few little nits on the surface, little grains, and probably a few bugs that have flown in. So, and then we got the. Let me move the camera around here, and you can see down here where I've got the blue tape. I'll take the knife and I will cut along the inside. Actually, it works better when this is turned green. It's not quite cured, but it's firm and stuck onto the thing. And then you still on here? Yeah. And a little cut down there. And now I can start pulling this up like that. So let me go ahead and do that off camera. It's nothing new I haven't done before. Well, I have it all sanded down. I was almost tempted to put another layer of epoxy on this for a weave coat, and I thought, to hell with it. It's a smooth enough line across here, the weave of the cloth. I don't care if it shows through or not. I'll wipe it down a couple times and then prime this thing. It's supposed to be nice this week, so we'll work on getting this thing started. Well, there it is with its first coat of primer on it. I'll let that set and dry overnight. I may do some work on it, some touch-up, I don't know. It looks better than it did. Well, I have that front panel. It's got 2 coats of primer on it. Down here is the corner rebuilt. It's still a little rough, but you know, it's better than what it was. All cracked out and missing, so I don't know if I almost tempted to get a can of flat black paint and paint it flat black, which now that I think about it, I think I might just take this back in and get a can of flat black and paint that flat black. Well, there's the nose all put back together again. You can kind of see a line in here where the fiberglass is. But this down here was totally missing on that side. And then over on this side, we had to rebuild this corner back in here, and here's where the divot was. We put the fairing in and around in here, so came out okay. I had some spots in here, roughness in the this is where the pinstriping was, and I should have sanded it off before I primed it, but it's got a couple coats of primer on it, and so I'll go ahead and spray it black now and see what it looks like. I may do the bottom glossy black too, I don't know. I'll see how the nut top turns out. But it's all back together, and it shows you that, you know, you can fix these things after a lot of damage. I mean, this would have been, you know, you saw the pieces that went back together.